Well, good morning, everybody. I got to say, guys, no matter how you look at it, we're living in extraordinary times. And the pace of change is unheard of in history. And somehow I just kind of feel like we're not noticing it. At least I'm not noticing it. The other day I was thinking, you know, these companies didn't exist 10 years ago. I find that remarkable. There's no Facebook, no Twitter, no LinkedIn. Google was a few years old. What do we do with all that spare time 10 years ago? What I find astonishing, though, is fast forward 10 years, if I can make this work, and depending on how you do the math, these companies are worth in the neighborhood of $300 billion. That's a huge number. That's about the GDP of a small or mid-sized European country. That's astonishing to me. And I think when we're going through radical change like this, there's huge opportunity for value creation like this. Unfortunately, the opposite is true. It wasn't that long ago that Kodak was a great American company and I think a great American brand. They were one of the early innovators around digital imaging, and yet somehow they failed to see the change happen. And they're on the brink. And it's not just Kodak. There's the Dells of the world and the Blockbusters of the world and the Motorola's of the world. So what's the difference? What's the difference between Kodak and Google or Blockbuster and Facebook? So to be a better company and to be a better advisor to our clients, we set out to answer that question. So we went out and spoke to about 500 leaders, business leaders, to try and find out what are the defining behaviors of businesses that will win in the future. Businesses that we called Nexco. Nexco is the name, it was kind of a holding pattern name that stuck. So what are the defining behaviors of Nexcos? We found 5 behaviors: useful, social, experimental, boundaryless, and value creative, which I'm going to go through them one by one here. So this is kind of an obvious one, right? Nexcos are passionate about creating better experiences. So that can be through making things more useful, making things easier, simpler, better for customers. Common sense, right? But when you look around the world and you think about how many experiences are amazing, there's very few. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that we, American corporations that is, got a little bit lazy in the second half of the 20th century. And creating difference was done primarily through advertising, right? What's the difference between Coke and Pepsi? What's the difference between Visa and MasterCard? A big ad campaign, really. These guys get that that's not good enough anymore. And because the world is hyper-connected, you're found out. So these guys focus on creating better product. I think a great example of this is Skype. They have something like 600 million users in like no time. No advertising to speak of, no marketing to speak of. They created a disruptive technology that really changes people's lives. I don't know if you've heard of these guys. It's called Square. It turns your phone into a credit card reader. Amazing product. I think they have something like, they launched a year ago, they have something like 800,000 merchants signed up, and something like they've processed $2 billion worth of transactions in 1 year. I don't think they have any advertising or marketing that I know of. Just remarkable. And this is a company that I think was talked about a couple days ago, Bank Simple. What's really interesting about Bank Simple, in addition to the interface that they're creating, which is helping people manage their money better, is the business model. They're not really a bank, actually. They're just the interface. So they don't have the fixed costs that banks have, and they don't even hold your money, actually. Other partner banks hold the money. So they're able to create genuinely useful experiences for the client, for people. Here's an example where they don't show you the available balance, they show you the safe to spend balance, which includes your savings goals and your outstanding bills, et cetera. So because they have a different business model, they're able to not try and rip you off, because a lot of banks make money from fees. So I'm looking forward to this one coming out of private beta. Hope it takes off. The second behavior that we see is that Nextco's put doing good or having a strong sense of purpose at the center of the business. I think there are a lot of great examples out there of people that are really trying, people like Patagonia, who've hooked up with Walmart and Adidas, and I think 30 other companies to try and improve supply chain. And I think it's really easy to get cynical about this, and probably should be cynical to some extent and be critical to some extent, but these guys are really trying and really making a difference. And this is one of my favorite startups. This is Hyatt Sydney. She is a Saudi woman scientist. There's not many of those in the world. She's a real pioneer. She has an incredible story. But she's invented this new technology. It's just the size of a postage stamp that she can take, or health workers can take out in the field to diagnose patients. And something like 60% of the developing world's population lives way far away from hospitals. So this is a way for health workers to diagnose illness away